Well, good morning, everybody, or hello, everybody, no matter where you are. This is Adonica from You Do You Unfiltered, and I'm sitting here with Jocelyn Bates. How are you doing this morning? It's
Oh,
morning for us, I guess.
yeah, it is morning for us.
I was gonna say it's 9 o'clock my time. What time is
Yeah.
yours? What
Well,
time are
for me,
you?
it's 11. It's like
Oh,
late morning. So
almost lunchtime. Geez, you can have a drink before I can have a drink.
well, that's what they say, but it's
That's what they
it's
say.
12 o'clock somewhere, anytime.
Anytime. That's what it's like. Anytime you get up, it's like someone's drinking somewhere in the world right now.
Yes.
It's
It's
never
okay.
too late and never too early. So, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. I've got
Great.
a lot of energy today. The shift in seasons is like get me happy. And we went apple picking yesterday. Like, I don't know.
I know. Okay. All right. I
Yeah.
know. It's kind of a new energy when you move into September because now we're getting right into winter and it's just around the corner. So a lot of chaos with all the kids going to school and all that great stuff. So it's really nice just to sit down in your own space and just take some time to yourself and just
Yeah.
chill. Chill.
Yeah. Be in
So,
the season of
we're going to be
change.
talking about something really fantastic today because I'm really interested in what you have to say. And just a little bit about you. You gave me an intro, and I said to you earlier, I said, maybe I'll just let you do you and introduce yourself. Because, first of all, you are cultivator of curiosity.
Yeah, and I've actually added cultivator of curiosity and creativity in the human experiment
Yeah.
because
Only on my intro says cultivator of
yeah,
curiosity
I've
in the
added it.
human. Oh, you did. Okay, well, there you go. In the human experiment.
Yeah,
Experiment.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's kind of cool. So I like to get into that, but then let's keep going because you have more. You're a soul art guide.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Say it. Records. What's the records? Say it.
Akashic. Some people say Akashic. I say
That's what I was
Akashic.
going to
I
do.
don't know if it's my Jersey
Oh,
accent or what, but I say Akashic Records.
okay. And then your yoga
Yoga Nidra. Nidra.
guide,
Hmm.
human design mentor,
Hmm.
right? She also, you got a lot going on here.
I
Expressive
have a lot of
arts
yeah.
therapist,
Yep, intermodal.
yeah, inter model, and an EFT master practitioner. I love
Mhm.
EF. I love that stuff. I love it. It makes me really scared to do it, but I love it. I'll tell you why later. She has been working with people for over 25 years in different capacities to help them find their authenticity. It's a really early morning. And a purpose in life.
Okay.
2.5 years ago, you lost both your parents, lost her parents 7 days apart, and she's been traveling through her grief ever since. I don't think grief ever stops, eh?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's just something that happens. Right now, actually, this is like, so this is September 5th when we're recording, and this is the beginning of my 3 year of going through a month of my grief because it really goes over a month.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't anticipate it ever leaving. I don't know if I'd be sad if it left. I think I feel like there's a connection when I feel
Yeah.
things and,
Yeah.
memories pop up and I hear
Yeah.
voices. And so, yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, we'll get dive into that. The journey of grief has widened her lens, honed her creativity. There's the creativity I forgot at the beginning, and brought her into perspective her life story. So we're going to get into this because this is so super cool because of what you do, and we talked about this when I actually saw you earlier, and we had a great connection, and I love talking to you about especially art stuff about it too. But you had a crazy tragedy,
Hmm.
like, and
Yeah.
that is that how that journey started to go is through that tragedy, or were you already there and that just magnified that journey that
I,
you're where you are now?
I think it was like a fork in the road. I think it
Oh,
was like,
okay.
that's how I would say it maybe, because I was working with the arts and healing for a long time. And then, I got to that place. I was working with sexual trauma and teenage girls and domestic
Yeah.
violence and the jail systems and brain cord injury and brain injury and spinal cord injury. And then I had kids and I wouldn't let them do anything. And I realized I
No
am
trampolines for
absolutely
them.
nothing, not even
Nothing.
walking on a sidewalk too close to a sidewalk. I mean, I was getting crazy.
Yeah.
And so I just stopped. I was like, I just want to be a mom. And I did that. And I just ran these creativity co-ops. I started
Yeah.
running these really wild co-ops for the kids
Yeah.
and teaching an art school for a while. And then what happened was, so I was always hand in creativity. I was always writing. I'm a spoken word poet. I wrote books, like this is like what I do. And then when my parents died, everything turned turned into spirituality and
Yeah.
consciousness. And I was able to take all those things I learned, and put them in a different context. And yeah, I would absolutely say the grief and that and those traumas kicked that off in me. Not right away, because I was totally, I
Yeah.
had, PTSD, trauma, shock, you name it. I was dissociated for 4 or 5 months. But when I started to come back, I consciously said, I'm not bringing my parents back, but I'm going to use this for all I can, And yeah, so yeah,
Share
that's
and
kind of
help.
one.
And that's what stories are about, is what you've been through. Look at what you're
Yeah,
helping. And that's just so super cool. So tell me a little bit about the curiosity, the creator, the cultivator of curiosity and creativity. Tell me
yeah,
about that, because that's kind of cool because you put it to the human experiment.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love
Well,
experiments, by the way. I just love them. I love them.
well, that's what I think we are. We're in a human experiment. We are souls
Absolutely.
in this human skin, and these human bodies are amazing, and they are a conduit. As a
Yeah,
soul, our body is the conduit to the spirit world and the earth world, like, well,
absolutely.
the earth realm, spirit realm, however you want to put that. But so it's an experiment. We're here to feel things. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. We're here to get all kinds of information that we don't have when we're not incarnated in a human body. Because when we're not incarnated, we know everything.
Yeah.
It's not the adventure that it is down here. And um and so that's how I say it. It's the human experiment. Anything we do, we're learning regardless, and we're taking in information in different ways, using it in different ways. And I have the cultivator of curiosity and creativity because that's what I do. I get people curious. I know how to guide them into curiosity. I know how to guide them into creative expression. And when you get really curious with something, then if you find those nuggets of insight, then using the creativity to express it, it like brings it full circle. And so you can move and go deeper and deeper and deeper. Then you can like zoom out and see everything. And then you can choose another direction to go. And it makes life so much more interesting.
Yeah.
It really does. And it's tapping back into our inner wisdom, our soul. Who are we? What does our soul want
Yeah.
to learn? What does it want to feel? You know?
Yeah. And we're always evolving and learning. It's when we
Yes.
shut that down that everything shuts down. So I have a question for you. So when you were a young little girl whipping around, were you very creative then, like artistic and creative and all that beautiful stuff that you just spoke about? Did you have it? Or did
I was always a
you? Okay.
creative kid. But we are all creative.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, schools kind of they bang that out of us. And they like really they stuff that shit down, and
Oh,
they give
absolutely.
us lots of critics and lots of judgments and lots of rules and lots of,
Yeah.
this playing field that we have to live within. And it
Yeah.
starts so early. It starts in preschool and kindergarten with giving a kid a handprint and saying make a turkey, right? Like that's
But
it's
they're
one of
not
those things.
using it where they're not making their hand. Now, if they just came up and use their hand, that'd be kind of cool.
Be cool
But
if they came up with it on their
but
own.
it's a step. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
step.
it's
Put
a
your
step.
hand on the paper, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And
Oh
that's,
yeah,
you shut
yeah.
that creativity down.
Well, it's like I worked for a little while working with children with Down syndrome in a classroom as an arts therapist. And one day the teacher brought out like the cotton balls, and the one girl made this awesome one. It was like across the paper in like a really cool design. And the teacher took it off the page and re-put glue on another page and put them in the correct order. Like, what are we doing? This kindergarten, and these are, like these are kids who are super creative. So we have these external rules and this conditioning around creativity. I've One of my favorite things to say recently is that, the most creative, a lot of people they don't think they're creative, but when you put it in the context of a good conversation, they're
Yes,
like, oh yeah, I'm fucking creative. Yeah. Like I can
absolutely.
have that conversation and all of a sudden things fly, time goes, I'm channeling, like whatever it is.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we all have it. We've decided to box it into arts,
yeah,
which, but I love the arts. And so for me, when I was young, yeah, I love the arts. I was one of those kids who constantly drew, constantly did,
yeah,
poetry, was doing plays and choreographing things for my parents. I was an only child, so I had a lot of attention,
yeah,
and I would put on shows, like
yeah.
that was my
Yeah.
thing.
We
So
did. We did. We have a puppet theater downstairs that my mom and dad built for my kid. Still there. And we put puppet shows on. He put puppet
yes,
shows on. And then that's the thing. Like it's kind of really, I think about myself when I was growing up. I could draw. I always won the coloring contest because I always stay in the line, blah, blah, blah. But the one thing I notice now is the writing part of it, because
Mm,
all of a sudden, visually, I'm putting it on paper, where now i- it's not, it's just me expressing myself. And these little kids, and all through high school too, they can't just express themselves
yeah.
because it's always in form of instruction. And that just is sad, because I believe that we get through life with creativity. And when you talk about conversations, you might not be the one with the 5-syllable word, girl.
Right.
Like me, I'm the simple word. I'm like 2 syllable. You might get
Yeah.
3. You might. But I think the creativity, body language and all that. Do you believe in that stuff? The body language and
Yeah,
having, just being light. You don't have to
absolutely.
get in. You just have to be light.
Yeah.
And it just
Sometimes, and sometimes it's just literally like how you phrase it, and it could be the most simplest like
yeah,
metaphor in life, that you just it comes to you naturally, and and it comes in that conversation, and then all of a sudden, boom, it blows the conversation up, and it goes in another direction. Like that's so creative. That is so awesome. I was just thinking the other day, how many things would never have been invented if they didn't have creative conversation with somebody?
exactly.
Like how many things would never have come to pass
Yeah.
because that's a way that we have a shared experience. We're expressing ourselves. We're like in it, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, it's like we seem to have boxed it into this art form. You
Yeah.
go on Instagram. How many things do you? Well, I mean, I'm an artist, so I like love to watch paint. But like, I could go on Instagram and I'm like, oh my god, everyone's telling me how to paint, showing me how to do it. But there's so much fun in just like playing, but we forgot how to do that. We learned not to play in a
I'll
lot of
tell
ways.
you, I'll tell you a story. I went to paint night. I've done a couple paint nights, and I like that they give you instructions, but then you add your own twist. So the painting downstairs that I did has spaceships. It was a beautiful forestry thing, and I thought, screw this, I'm putting in
Yeah.
a spaceship. And everyone's like, "You ruined your picture. You ruined it."
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, I didn't. It's a spaceship. Like, I want a spaceship in this picture, and that's my picture. You all have the same picture with the
Exactly.
same colors. I'm putting the spaceship in." And then I did another one. Then, of course, I added something else. And people are like,
Yeah.
"What are you doing?" I'm like, it's me. Like, I just believe that we need to get out there because of our world right now. It's so kind of crazy. When you have
Yeah.
these creative people that make you laugh and make you think and have that kindness about them, that's the best of creativity that we come by, is just having that. And it's beautiful to have you in the world to guide people like that, because I know that my husband could use you. Just
So could my husband.
yeah. Maybe we'll put them together in a room. Let's see how that goes. I'm just kidding. But I
No.
think it's so important. And as a kid, I remember my mom, I was a very shy kid, so I would hide behind my mom, and she's like, none of this anymore.
Yeah.
And she put me in figure skating. And I remember my first competition, I was petrified. And she said, "Remember the movie we saw with the Jimmy McNichol?" And they said, it was called Champions. 1, 2, 3 routine. And she would hold my hands and we say one. I go 1, 2, 3 routine. If you forget about it, make it up. And that's what I did. So
Yeah.
I forgot. And then that's sitting on the spot. And I think that's what our kids need to do and
Yeah.
adults need to do. It's playful. Don't you find it's playful?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, playing in creativity and expression. I mean, really the like the definition of creativity is to create something.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Well,
have to be
that's it.
perfect.
That's it.
you know
Great.
like it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be in the lines.
No.
And and that, like a lot of my work around curiosity and creativity has to do with the body because like I was saying before, our body is this conduit of the earth. It is how we experience this world, right? It is whether we experience the earth at our feet, the wind at our hair, it's the smells and the sounds, or if we're experiencing our clair abilities and we're having the chills and we're having dreams and we're seeing things, whatever that be, right? That all comes through our senses in our body through memory and imagination as well. And so when I teach creativity in particular, when I teach like I love teaching teenagers. There's something about teenagers have this moment of like I don't know, it can be explosive if you tap into it in a
Right.
beautiful way,
Yeah.
and adults too. But teenagers haven't had quite the conditioning, as somebody who's like my age, who's 47. It's a
Oh,
little
young.
that But this whole idea like of just okay, now if you think of your body as the tool, as the instrument of expression, you can be creative in anything you want to be. You
Everything.
just have to start getting curious with what does my body see, feel, hear, smell, taste, whatever's going on in my body. What memories are popping up? And in that memory, what do I see, feel, hear, taste, smell, right? And
Yeah.
in my imagination, gosh, if I was supposed to, what could I imagine that would hear, that would sound like, that would look like, what that would
Yes.
smell like? And that way of getting curious with everything is a way to get really deep into what can I create out of this?
Yeah,
So it's just very cool.
absolutely. Absolutely. Because as a personal trainer and being a stroke survivor, I don't know if you knew that, but I remember when I had to learn to walk again, muscle has memory.
Mm,
There's a memory in there that it's not going to forget that you can't walk and take you back when you were crawling and being a baby. It has a memory. And I just
yeah.
thought that's so cool you said that because I would talk to my legs, oh, okay, let's go. Come on. Up and walk, and we did. But they have that memory. And if we have that in us, we can do what all the others as well, right?
Yeah.
The taste,
Yeah.
smell, the everything. Yeah, it's so it gives me chills just to know that there's some people out there like yourself that believe in this stuff that I know that I believe in it. And I know
Yeah.
that our bodies are so powerful right now. And if only we just tune in. Tune
Yeah.
in. Sit
Yeah.
quietly and just tune in and ask it. Because I ask my body a lot of questions sometimes. Why are you flashing today? Seriously? Just give me a 5 minute warning. Like it is
Right.
because I have had the experience of curing my body through illness by
Hmm.
just saying to myself, okay, I'm well, you know? So
Yeah.
that's just
Opening the
an expression,
conversation.
having a conversation. Now, some people might think might call 911 or something. Like, just leave on the sidewalk and talking to herself. But I don't care. I don't care. But that's just
Yeah.
expression, right? And that's
Mm.
again using using that creativity of expression. And that's what I love about what you do. It's great. And then you paint too, because behind you are these beautiful paintings I saw last
Oh,
time.
see, these are my vision boards from years ago. I just haven't changed it. I do a bunch of solar on like large pieces, like 8 foot long paper and 10 foot long paper, and
Put put
those
them
are
in
like
your
my
house.
solar
You have a
journeys.
wall that big to paint on.
That's why I work on paper so I can roll it up and then like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now, how does it dry so fast though? I want to know.
It has to stay out for quite some time. I like at least an overnight usually.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I have like 3 dogs that run rampant over my house, so like I have to lock doors and stuff.
Well, it's my door is locked right now for my cat not to come in to be Batman. Like,
Yeah.
Batman, come on. Mom, I'm over here. But yeah, it's just quite okay. I want to also talk to you about the records, the guide, okay, so your
Yeah.
soul art guide. We've kind of touched on that. You want to just expand on that a bit?
Sure. Soul art is it's a practice. If you think of it like a shamanic journey, a
Yes.
soul art journey is very similar, but it's using particularly creative expression through the arts.
Okay.
And you really set an intention, you create a framework, you work in creative expression, you get to play, you get to like just really have the fun that you wish you had in like kindergarten without having to
Yeah.
play in the lines, right? Like you get to play that. And then you work in dialogue with your piece of art to find the inner wisdom. So you're really channeling through through your higher self, highest aligned energy, your soul, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
You're channeling that into
Yeah.
your creative expression, but really what you're doing is having fun. You set the intention
Yeah.
and you put the framework down, and now you just let go and dance and have conversations and create.
Or
It's like
drink.
the best time. I've had people come and have a glass of wine while they do a soul art journey with me. Yeah. Or like maybe even, we've had different playlists and music on. We've had awesome conversations because you
Yeah.
let go of it. Once that intention and framework is set,
Then
like
it
a little
comes.
piece of you
Yeah.
jumps into the journey and you can let it go and just see what happens. And then once the piece of artwork is done, I work with somebody to create, to understand, to find, to pull out the insights, to really
Why?
get to the soul's inner wisdom.
Like a
And then
why? Like, do you ask the why? Like, kind of
and
like
yeah,
let it.
sometimes I mean it's about dialoguing with it. It's about thinking about during this whole 6 hour journey that we've been on, what's been happening, what thoughts have been in your head. Did you have something where you spilled a glass of water all the way over your, whatever happens, right? Did you
Yeah.
get a frantic call from someone, and how did you react to that, right? And then
Yeah.
what do you see in your painting? What are you drawn to? And
Yeah.
if that part of your
Words.
painting could speak, what would it say to you? And looking at different things like that, and so you you kind of you kind of pull out
Right.
or bring forth the insights from your piece. And then you decide on a spirit action that can take that piece of insight that's the most important for you and place it directly in a tangible place on this in this earth by an action. And when you complete that action, your energy comes back to you and the shamanic journey is done. But that is soul art is a transformative process. I have had so many crazy synchronicities happen
Nice.
from my soul art and the connection with my soul and who I am. And some of the soul art, you can connect to different parts of your body. You can connect to your organs. You can connect to your eyes. Like you can connect to your womb. You can create manifestation
I want to
journeys,
connect to
right?
my body fat. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
you can. You totally
I know.
can.
Well, that's the thing. Well,
Um,
no, yeah. It's
yeah, and then you actually are dialoguing with it to act to create the changes you want
so it's
and learning.
yeah, it's kind of like when I think about it, it's kind of like I read Louise Hay, How to Heal Your Life. It
Yeah,
kind of like when she does her affirmations at her end of her book, they'll say body fat or obesity, and
yeah,
that is a form of ring around, and it's a protection ring
yeah.
that protects you. So and then the knee, when I blew my knee, it was all about ego, and I was like, oh,
Uh,
interesting. So then you flip. It's almost like that. Now, I have a question. Do colors make a difference too as well when you're painting? So if you
it
bright,
really
or
It
is it
really
just
depends on the person. Like if color is your thing and you really want to be like really consciously choosing color, like
yeah.
sometimes I'll close my eyes and pick a color and I'll start working
Okay.
with it. Like, because it's really playing on, we open creativity doors so that you can, most people who
It's just
come to the
playing.
soul art journey,
Playing.
they
Yeah.
come in really nervous. They're like, I'm not an artist. I can't be
Yeah.
creative. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. This is going to suck. Like, they'll come with all kinds of inner critic stuff.
Yeah.
And there's, you open creativity doors to basically roll out the red carpet for it. It makes it
Right.
very easy.
Yeah.
And you're along with, it's like if you're doing with me and I'm guiding you, I'm creating right next to you. So it's like there's just this open energy and this non-judgment that allows for people to play. So if somebody is really like loves color, they're gonna have a lot
Maybe bright.
more insights in their colors, maybe.
Absolutely.
Or, it really depends. But somebody like sometimes I just work in black and white charcoal,
Yeah.
and I
That the
love
one
it.
behind you is that black and white there?
No, oh, that one's a painting. I
Okay.
haven't finished it yet.
Oh. Sorry.
It's just waiting. It's there waiting for me, and I'm like, I don't feel it
Over
yet.
here. Lady. Over here. Finish me, please.
Yeah, yeah. I actually just finished a soul art. I was doing a soul art on my gene keys, on some of my gene keys in my Venus sequence, which
Yeah.
is human design, and gene
Yeah.
keys are kind of in the same
Okay.
category.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so that one's upstairs
Gosh.
drying from
That's
last night.
incredible, incredible, incredible about art. Okay, so now that, okay, so I'm getting back to the other one part now that
Oh
you
yeah, Akashic Records, right?
please do that because say that again. Say that again. Do one more time.
Yes,
Akash.
Akashic Records.
Akash.
Akashic, right? Or some people say Akashic.
I'm
It's
gonna have a drink of coffee before I say it again.
yeah. So I didn't, if you asked me 3 years ago, what are the Akashic Records? I would be like, I have no idea.
Okay.
Right. But after my parents died, and I was very close to I was an only child. We lived with my parents. So there was like a lot that went on. But when
Yeah.
when I started coming out of the grief, my mother was guiding me. And I found it something on her website about human design. And I heard this impulse and I'm like, oh my God, do it before you think, do it before you think. And I
Yeah.
wrote to this woman my mother was working with, and I was like, I have no money, but my mom went to, and I really need to connect with you. And it's not like I had known human design. I had actually brought my mother to it years earlier, but she was working with someone else.
Yeah.
And I hit send, and then I was like, I've never done that in my
You didn't
life.
have the
Ask for
undo
anything.
button. You now have an undo button, but you did that one.
Yeah. And so she offered me a scholarship to the 6-month program. And then when that finished, I realized that I needed to be in another program because I'm like, the
Yeah.
programs either that meet once a week, twice a week, every other week, it just kept me present with myself. And I knew if I was to not be in a program, I would start to go back to dissociation a bit. I just needed to be, kept on track.
Yeah.
And so I got it. And then I went to this other woman and I was like, ooh, I have the impulse. And again, my mother guided me to her. And I had this impulse. And immediately I started writing. I didn't know what I was writing. I was like, well, I'm a 4-1 quad right, pure generator and just because of fantasy. And I need to be in a program. And she's like, I've never gave a scholarship to a 4-1, quad right. She's like, I would
You're
love for you to be
doing?
in my program. And it was a huge program. It was like an $6,000 or $8,000 program that she just gifted me. And
Wow.
in that program, I became part of her membership. And in her membership, she had a meditation with an Akashic Records guide. And I had no clue what it was. I'm just like,
Right.
let's just meditate because I was a big meditator. Let's just meditate. I'm just gonna meditate. And I ended up in a past life, and it was really, really scary. Because there was so much, it wasn't scary so much.
I got
Yeah,
to
it was.
sit up for this one.
Yeah, it wasn't scary so much as, like, I thought I was gonna get hurt. It was so overwhelmingly grieving. It was really crazy. I was just tears pouring down my eyes. I was pregnant. I had two children, two babies in my belly that were both stillborn, and that was, like, the moment, and in the moment, I felt the need to, like, get them out of me, but not wanting to. That was the feeling, and I
Right.
knew it was the 60s, everything. I was in a meditation, but I was not sleeping. I could smell, I could taste, I could
Right.
hear, I could everything. I could hear conversations going on in all different areas. And I did. And so when she brought us out of that, and I don't think I was supposed to go into a past life, it wasn't supposed to be what I was supposed to do. Um, but I was like, oh my God, I want to do that again. But I want guidelines and like I want to be able to be like walked through it because I don't want to be in that place again. But
Yeah.
it was like a lucid dreaming, but I was completely awake, right?
Oh,
So I called the lady and I'm like, I got to get a session with you because what happened on this meditation the other day, like it was crazy. I need to know about it. So I set up a session with her. And the first thing she says is, oh, you're meant to be an Akashic Records guide. It was like my mom, like, you got to give her this because I was just finishing another program.
right.
She's like, I'm going to gift you the teacher's training. And I was like, okay. She's like, you're going to be working a lot with past lives. I can feel it in your records. I can see it in your records. It's really, this thing for you.
Yeah.
And so I then learned what the Akashic Records were, and I was already in a training. I was like, no idea what was going on. Um, but it was wonderful because I got to learn so much about. So in the Akashic Records are a dimension of pure knowledge, pure knowledge.
Yeah.
And in that dimension, you access it through your clair abilities. That when people go through meditation and guides can bring them there,
Right.
um, but it's pure knowledge. And when you think of the Akashic Records, you have to kind of think, I like the picture of a crystal ball.
Yeah.
Like when you think of time,
Yeah.
it's like a primordial soup just
Yeah.
swirling all over the place. Like
Yeah.
it's not this linear, past, present, future, right? It's because
Mm.
everything's kind of happening all at once. So that's how
Right.
we can tap so easily into our past lives. They are happening at the same time and things are shifting and changing. When something happens in a past life, we can feel it in this life. A lot of times, a lot of like random injuries that you're like, how the hell did that happen? I wasn't even doing anything, was
Yeah.
actually from a past life at the same time. And it's connecting to that. It's really fascinating. So you
Yeah.
got to
Like
think of
bruises that
time.
it's like bruises that show up. You're like, I didn't bang
Like,
anything.
where did that go? Where did
Yeah.
that come
Like,
from? Yeah.
so that's actually coming from.
It can be, not saying it
I mean,
definitely is, but it
yeah.
can be
Yeah.
coming from
Yeah.
a version of you in a
Absolutely.
past life. And so when you go into the Akashic Records, you can access you can access past lives, future lives, present selves. You can access belief systems, you can access relationships. Every living being
Right.
has a Akashic record, including animals, trees. They all have Akashic records. So it's interesting if you think about your house was made of trees. How many trees made your house? You can go into the Akashic record of every tree that's part of your house, even though it's no longer alive, right?
Yeah.
It's
I'm like,
fascinating.
you're freaking me out right now.
Yeah. And then you could go into the Akashic record of the land your house is built on. I mean, it's really crazy.
Yeah.
And
Like, built
it's
on.
awesome. Well, yeah, yeah. Sometimes you got to go there to figure out what your land needs.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
And I've done the rods, like,
Yeah. The
that's
dowsing rods.
well, yeah, that's so cool to see. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's keep going because this is like crazy. I just might need to drink a coffee. This is amazing. I've never heard of this whatsoever, but when I think about it now, and like I asked you, like sometimes bruises show up, or you just get a pain like in your shin from
Or a
no
random
reason, right?
stitch out of nowhere, or
Yes,
like,
and so now this is super super duper. Well, we'll have to talk later. Super
and
duper
it's
in.
not always,
It's
but
not, no, it's
you
not
can
always, but
sometimes find it.
it would make you, instead of going on Dr. Google and trying to figure out why I had a pain in my shin all night,
First thing you
maybe
can
you
do
need
is
to
go to
look
it. Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating. It really is.
Fascinating. Yeah.
And and then you could also go into the Akashic Records for businesses, for
Yeah.
like every business has an Akashic record too.
Yeah.
Every event has an Akashic record. So like it's just this dimension of pure knowledge. And you access it through your clair abilities or someone can so everybody has access to their own records. But there was a long period of time where access for human beings to access the Akashic records was cut down, cut off, not allowed,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
there was a times where human beings used it against other people, and it's your soul's
Yes.
knowledge. It's the knowledge of your soul from the very
Yes.
beginning, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like it was taken away from us. It was given back to us in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
And so when you have an Akashic Records reader come in and go into your records with you, there is a high level of integrity. That's why you have to be trained to go into other people's records, but not your own. You can go into your own, it's your soul, right?
Yeah.
But like for me to go into someone else's records, I have to be in full integrity. You'll hear me if I ever am in a session with someone, I'll say it like 8 to can I go into your records? Can I go into your records today? Like, is it okay? Are you,
Yeah.
is this good for you? Like,
Are you
because there's a
okay?
lot of integrity, with
Yeah,
it. And then
absolutely.
when I'm in the
And
records, I'll
trust.
be
I guess
like,
trust too. A lot of
yeah. Yeah. And
Mhm.
then when I'm in the records, I'll be like, do you want me to transmute this contract or do you want to leave it? Do you want to do this? Do you want to look at this
Hey.
belief system or do you not? It's all you, right? Like
Yeah.
we can look together, but like, I'm constantly throwing it back to the other person because it's like their soul knowledge. It's their soul's journey. It's very beautiful. It's the most beautiful work to be in the Akashic
Do you
records.
do
I,
that
I
over
love it.
Zoom or do people come and see you?
Most of my Akashic records are over Zoom. My sessions are over Zoom.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll have to talk. I'm pretty sure my Akashic records are kind of crazy.
Yeah, you know what? A lot of them are, and I'll tell you what, there's a lot of themes that happen in Akashic. So like when I was doing the training, we had to have Akashic Records sessions with each other, and then
Yeah,
I went to
yeah.
one of my teachers, and the first thing she says to me, she goes, "Hmm." I'm like, "What does hmm mean?"
Okay, that's not good. I'd be like,
Yeah,
what?
what? And she goes, "You've had a lot of pasts of sex workers, promiscuity, rape, all of this stuff." She's like, "And this is
Oh,
your lifetime to integrate it." And I thought it was so interesting because she didn't know anything about me. And well, like I said before, I was an expressive art therapist for
yeah, yeah, yeah,
intermodal for sexual trauma in teenage girls
yeah.
and domestic violence. So this was a world that I had gotten into without thinking about it, without looking for it. It just kind of popped in my
Same.
lap.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
It's
she's
meant
like,
to
"And
be.
this is your lifetime to integrate. You don't have to experience it. It's just your integration lifetime." And then
Crazy.
she said to me at one point, she goes, "Wow." She's like, "You have to stop asking permission, but you know what? We used to ask for permission all the time." And she goes, "Where?" I said, and she went into my records, and she's like, yeah, this comes from like a past life where you were like working within a palace or for a king, and you didn't ask for permission to stand up or something along that line, and you were beheaded in front of the court." So she goes, I'm gonna clear this for you." So she cleared it for me. And then like it was so funny. I never told my husband, right? Never said
Yeah.
anything to my husband about it.
Yeah.
A week later, he goes, "Gee, you haven't asked for permission for anything." And I was
Oh,
like, "I know."
that's
It was so like, right. I would ask permission for everything. I'd be like,
yeah,
"Do you think
yeah,
it's okay?" I'd have all different ways of asking. "Do you think
yeah.
that's okay? What do you think?" And like a week later, he's just like, "Wow, you haven't asked me to."
That is nuts. So are
Yeah.
there a lot of you around that do this?
There's lots of people who are Akashic Records guides.
I've
And there's lots
never
of
ever
people.
just I've never heard about it ever, ever, ever.
Yeah, I hadn't either though. I hadn't either.
Mhm.
But there are lots of information out there, and there's different ways and there's like lots of ways to be guided into your own records.
Yeah.
And so people do it different ways. Like a lot of times, and I've seen this, but this never helped me, where people guide you into a library and looking at a library and books and looking at there is the keeper of the keepers of the Akashic records that do kind of keep it a safe
Nice.
space.
I
But
love
they have like open a door into a library that has worked for lots of people, but for me, like, my record space changes
right.
as my life shifts. And so whenever I go to these meditations, like have you ever been in a guided meditation and
Yes.
they're like you're in a forest and the sun
Yes.
is shining. So you immediately have this picture of the forest and the sun is
Forest.
shining. And
Mm.
then they're like, and there's a stream to your right. And I'm like, there's no stream. Fuck, like
Oh,
there's
and
no
that's where I
stream.
go, and when they guide me, it's where I go colored and I don't
Yeah.
see a vision because I just see my own vision. You know what I mean? So
Yes,
you're there,
exactly.
you've got the trees, you got the sun, and they ask you if you see something. I'm like,
I
You,
don't see it, right?
you.
Or I have to start over, and then I'm forgetting half the meditation because I'm like, I'm back developing my forest with the sunlight in the stream now, right?
And
So,
everyone's already gone down the stream and up the mountain. Like,
yeah.
no,
So
I
for
love it.
me,
Yeah,
the Akashic records are like that. Like
yeah,
I think it's very the space of the Akashic records,
yeah,
it can be said as a room. You can enter it as a room, but
yeah,
some people get very and it works for people, but it doesn't work for everybody. So there are people who will walk you into your records through meditation. I use mantras that were channeled down from the
yeah,
Akashic records,
yeah.
from my teachers and
Oh,
yeah, and then you know what else was cool about the Akashic Records is there's a lot of energy healing there. So
oh,
like you can get a
really?
lot of Reiki and energy healing and you can ask for that in the records. You can look at belief systems, look at the roots of them, and you can like
Right.
literally transmute them right then and there. You can transmute contracts with other souls that aren't working out in this
Can
lifetime
you,
for you.
can you predict my future? Just
You
kidding.
cannot. That's fun. I'm glad you asked. There's no predicting
No,
there's
yeah,
no timelines
there's no
in
timeline.
the Akashic Records.
Absolutely.
Remember what I said about the primordial soup? So
Yes.
like it's all happening at the same time. So even if
Yeah.
you're in a future life, that future life is happening at the same time.
It's
And so
crazy.
you can't predict. There's no prediction. It's really you go into the records to learn
Yeah.
and to release
And really.
and to open up, right? And to just
Yes,
really
absolutely.
gain the knowledge. You don't go in necessarily to divine.
No,
Um,
great.
so you can meet your spirit guides there, your
I,
angels. It's a beautiful
I'm
place.
excited. I want to do this. I, everybody that's listening to us right now, this is incredible. I've never actually, I believe in all this stuff, but I've never actually knew what that was or
Yeah.
actually heard of it. So
Yeah.
it's not like you just go out there, hey, I'm a Akashic record leader.
And people know,
It's
right?
not, you don't roll out of bed and become an Akashic record reader. You have to
Yeah.
the schooling behind this. It's a science. It's a bit of a science too to it. I'm assuming too as well, because you kind of do need to get that space, find the space, but a good science, not a like a
Yeah,
not,
no, it's like, there's a presence in the body that's needed. You have to know what your clair abilities are. You
oh,
have to be able to work with your breath. You have to be able to
oh.
work with your nervous
Have you
system,
ever done one of
you
those
know.
live?
Akashic record
Yeah,
sessions?
yeah.
I don't normally because it's like a personal thing between, I don't know anyone who would want their soul their
Live?
soul records live.
I'd be
You just
afraid.
never know what's going to come up.
There's
Like
a
it's a
behind
very
me going, oh, there it is.
yeah.
Just kidding. What the hell? I mean, that'd be
Yeah.
me. Like,
I
it'd be
find
me.
that I find people get emotional in
Yeah,
sessions
yeah.
too. So
It's
it's like, yeah, you just, it would be a weird feeling to do
But
that
it'd be
live.
interesting because if we decide to do, because I'd be really curious to do it myself with you, and then go on and we can talk about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that would be no problem.
That'd be great for the audience to see. You might see me in Desperate Need of Friends. I don't know, but you might see a change too, a lightness. So there's
Yeah.
something that we could talk about after. So we'll get to that because I think it's really. I'm very curious about it more so than like I've never heard of it, right? So I'm
Yeah.
more curious to get deeper into that. Okay, okay, what's a yoga?
Yoga
I
Nidra. Yoga
okay.
Nidra. Oh, so most people, I also give me
Okay,
3
are you guys
years and
all
I'd
writing
be
this
like,
down? Jocelyn
yeah,
does a
right.
lot of things. I'm gonna put it in her bio and all her contact information. Put it in her bio. This is
Yeah.
number 22. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, though, 3 years ago, I'd be like, I don't know what yoga nidra is. Do you think a bad downward dog? Like, I don't even know. And I would have probably never touched it because I had enough yoga in my life.
Yeah.
But I actually found yoga nidra the second year after my parents died, and it was winter. And my parents, the death started with a sniffle in the house, and so that was the first year. That was 2022, and that was
Okay.
when everyone was going back to school, right? And
Right.
all of a sudden, everyone was getting sniffles, and my kids included, even though we homeschool. And
Yeah.
the first time they got those sniffles, I was like, oh shit.
Uh-oh.
Like I'm
Yeah.
I was praying over them. Please don't die. Please don't
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
Please
Yeah.
don't die. And I wouldn't sleep because every little sound had me up. Like, are you okay? And I'd be shaking my kids awake. Like, so it was
Ah.
like I was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wasn't sleeping. And then on top of that, I was getting panic attacks. I was getting headaches. I was like
Right.
achy and pain because I wasn't sleeping. And I found yoga nidra. And yoga nidra is an effortless guided meditation into the subtle selves, or in yogic tradition, they're called the koshas. And it's an ancient practice, and
Uh-huh.
it's not just like any guided meditation. It's
Yeah.
different. It has different stages for each kosha, each subtle self, and it guides you into the bliss state. And so I started doing these, I would say, just on Insight Timer using free ones, right? And I would do it in the morning when I first woke up. I do it midday. And when you do a yoga nidra midday, it's awesome. If you do like a 15, 20-minute or even a 35-minute midday yoga, it's as if you had a 4-hour nap because your brain has gone through all of the states into delta. And then you wake up and you're like, wow, it's
Oh,
only been 15, 20 minutes. And I feel like I could go for another 7 or 8, right?
okay.
Hours. So, and so I would do a midday one, and then I would do one because I had insomnia right before sleep, and I would use these tracks that would bring me into sleep and just let me go off and be gone, right?
Yeah.
And within 3 weeks, I completely turned around my nervous system, and it was just doing that. I was just really working with the breathing and the yoga nidra. And
Yeah.
like I said, yoga nidra is effortless. You literally lay down and put like towels or blankets under your knees, under your head, under your ankles. You get
Yeah.
as comfortable as possible.
Like
It's
light.
totally okay if you fall asleep. It comes in subconsciously. Like it's awesome.
Yeah.
And so then again, it was my mother. I reached out and I was like, I just have to tell you, you saved my life. And she's like, oh, come take my teacher training. And so I did that.
Your mother was a yogi.
She wasn't a yogi. She was just off giving me things to do, so I didn't have any free time.
Oh.
Like, keeping me involved, you know? Yeah, pretty much. Because as soon as that, like, then yoga nidra, I found as soon as my Akashic Records
Yeah.
training was done, and then I was like, I don't know what to do now. I got to find another one. But then
Right.
so she's was like working some magic for me. And yeah, and so the yoga nidras are wonderful. There's different ones. There's like you can go what's called a rotation of consciousness, which is like the best deep relaxation of the body I've ever experienced. And
Okay.
I'm somebody who did transcendental meditation when I first lost my parents and came back. I got trained in transcendental meditation, like an EFT practitioner. Like I've been doing meditation my whole life. I used to dance with Gabrielle Roth, the 5 rhythms, and I used to do moving meditation. I've done qigong. Nothing has ever relaxed me like a rotation of consciousness in a yoga nidra. It is unreal how powerful it is. And yeah, so and then they have like different there's a different breathing area, there's a thing about opposites in it. There's like it's just a beautiful and it has a guide, right? When you're in a full yoga nidra, you're going through these stages.
Okay, so
And
where do you find this? Like, where do people find this? Do you have them
yeah.
on
I
YouTube?
have them on my website, which is jocelynbates.net. I have
We're gonna
my
put that
insight
on there.
timer.
I'm going
Yeah, and
there. I need this. I need this.
yeah,
There's
and
a
then
lot
on
of things.
top of it, like I found it through Insight Timer. So just in February,
Yeah.
I decided that this year, I've been doing Yoga Nidra longer, but I just decided to give back to Insight Timer. So now I'm a teacher on Insight Timer. And if you follow me there, you'll get all of my live events on stuff, but
So
also
Insight Timer is the app
the
that
app. Yeah. And
yeah.
it's free. Although my friend told me they ask for a credit card because they say you can donate, but you don't get charged it because I've had it for free for a while.
Yeah.
Um, and
Right.
there I offer all kinds of yoga nidra tracks. I offer guided curiosities. I offer all kinds of stuff. I have courses, and so the yoga that's where you can go to find. And then yoga nidra you can find a ton of different people. It might not be that you like my voice. It might be that you like someone else's voice. And there's lots of people who offer yoga nidras for free. It's just different than a guided meditation. A guided meditation doesn't bring you to that subtle self, to that bliss state
I
all the
need
time.
that. And the
Yeah, and
15
it brings
minutes.
you through. Yeah.
I gotta be honest. I used to do yoga a lot, hot yoga,
I did hot yoga. Oh my
for the
God, until I got
longest
pregnant
time.
last time. Yes.
For longest time, and then I blew my knee and I wasn't allowed to do any of the positions because now I have fake knee. But I was like, now when I get there, I laugh because I'm just like, what can I do? But this seems to be what I need, kind of, because
Yeah.
I love that part of getting deep.
Deep,
And
deep
and I
down.
know a lot of people at my age that are going through menopause, and like you talk about insomnia, and this helped you sleep, could
Hmm.
use this to
Yes.
get to that sleep
Yeah.
part, to get to sleep, wake up, and get back to sleep because it's only a short period of time.
And I also think there's a bunch of yoga nidra guides who actually work with yin yoga too. Like I'm not a big yin
That's a
yoga
stretching part,
person.
isn't that?
It's
Yin?
not or like restorative yoga where you
Yeah.
get into
Yeah.
and then you do the yoga nidra and certain
Yeah.
restorative yoga positions. Like if you're
Yeah.
into that, but you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
It's totally effortless. It's like the best
I'm definitely
practice.
going to tap into that. And
Yeah.
as we're tapping into that, we are actually going to talk about EFT.
Oh, EFT is something I've been doing for years. I learned it when I was when I was a therapist for
Yeah.
girls with sexual assault.
Yeah.
And EFT is amazing. I mean, it draws on the Chinese meridians, working, tapping in through all the different meridians. You have all the meridians on the face, the collarbone, under
Yeah.
the arm, and top of the head.
Yeah.
And I like to I do a few events on Insight Timer for this particularly because I
Okay.
feel like there's lots of people
Insight,
who
not
give you
insight.
scripts.
Insight timer. Insight.
Insight.
Okay, I'm
Yes,
writing this
Insight
down
Timer.
again.
Yeah.
Timer.
Yeah, because like a lot of people, they give you scripts for EFT, but I have found the best way is just to know the tapping points
Yeah.
and then to let someone speak out loud whatever's in their head. And I thought it was so funny because I was talking about the nervous system this morning
Yeah.
on Insight Timer, and I was like, I'm from New Jersey and I like to curse. And when I am need to, and I'm nervous and I have to go to the dentist's office, I tap, but you'll hear all kinds of curses coming out of me because it's just who I am. I'm not pretending to be, I'm like, these are the words and the ideas that are coming through my head that are telling me that it's not okay. Right.
Yeah.
So when
Absolutely.
you tap using your own voice to like
Oh,
tap through whatever's
yeah.
coming up, whatever's bubbling up, whatever, words come out, right? Take a breath and then give you your affirmations on
Yeah.
all of the
Oh,
tapping
I love that.
parts. But yeah, no, I love EFT and I use it, I've used it, it's to me, I don't use it in emergency situations,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
do use it if I find, like, so if I'm in the Akashic Records and I'm working on a belief system and I've created a new affirmation, I've
Yeah.
cleared out that belief system and I've created some new words for me,
Yeah.
I might tap into the new things. Or,
Yeah.
before I go ahead and release it in the Akashic Records, I might release it with EFT and then
Yeah.
release it
Yeah.
in the
And then
records
bring
and
in the
then bring in
new
the new.
thought pattern. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then that's the
Yeah.
fantastic. I remember I went way back in 1910 because I'm a lot older than you are. I remember having I was on an accountability course and we did some tapping, and I remember we were tapping my collarbone, and at that time I was unwell anyways. I had a lot of medical issues, and I remember how ill I felt
From
afterwards
tapping the
from
collarbone.
tapping. And I afterwards I was drained energy and I had the best sleep that night. It's like I got up and I felt like I was a new
Right.
person. But
Yeah.
also we had the new thought pattern come in too as well. And I love new thought patterns because I think the power of the mind is so powerful. And I believe that we can actually cure ourselves using our minds. And
Yeah.
that's why I love that kind of tapping and everything. But I remember just how my girlfriend was sitting inside me and I was like, "Mm." And she goes, "Are you
Yeah.
okay?" I'm like, I just feel
Well,
amazing.
you'll feel that when you tap, you'll feel certain places have a little more pain than
Yes.
others. And those are the ones where you're blocked. They
Yeah.
say you can check your meridians by like if you can go up the different meridians in your body. If you pull up like
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
just like you have to pinch and then pull up, you'll feel where the blockage is
Yeah.
in different meridians. And you'll notice different places. You'll be like, oh my God, ow. And
Yeah.
then by clearing it in that way, just by
Yeah.
checking, like where
Yeah.
is my
Okay.
meridian?
Yeah.
Like I can feel it right here. Just by checking and doing the pinching, like you're releasing it.
Why do you
So
have
it's
that?
super cool.
Why is it there? Why do you have a pain in your arm?
Why, right?
I
Why?
know. It's like,
But
wait,
you're like releasing it already just by doing the
absolutely,
check.
absolutely. But I'm a big affirmation girl. I believe it. And then it's hard. And there's days, like you said, like there's days that I mean, we're human. So there's days that you go through where have high anxiety, you're overwhelmed, you blah, blah, blah. But it's the practice of getting back to you.
Yeah.
And that's what people are missing in this world, especially in this chaotic world that it's nuts. So
Well,
we
we're often told we need medications or
yes, absolutely.
pharmaceuticals, or you need to lose
Need
weight,
for
or you need to
tattoos,
do
but
this, right?
yeah, it's a Band-Aid. It's a
It's so
Band-Aid.
easy sometimes. It's
And
like
it's a
sometimes
Band-Aid.
it's just breathing and it's a
Yes,
specific kind of breath and then you're
yeah,
done. Like
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
it's too easy. They want to make more money on us, like,
Well,
and
and I think a lot of people don't have the time. They think they don't have the time to take 10 minutes or 15 minutes of the day to sit quietly, do what you do, like one of the 20 million things that you do here. The 20 million things.
never on the same day though. Not all of them on
I
the
never
same
on the
day.
same. But think about how, like I remember I grew up in the 60s. Like we fell, we got up, we played, my mom threw us in chicken pot parties so we get chicken pox
Yes.
so our bodies can just get that immune system going. And well, we never ever went to the doctor for a flu or for allergies and
Yeah.
peanuts and blah blah blah.
They didn't really have that back then. Not in the
We
same way.
didn't have that, and so the whole entire system has changed in our universe, which is kind of that's why we shut the kids down early, because, oh my God, no peanuts in the school. Oh my God, you can't do this. And that's where these young kids are coming up, and they need people like you to say, no, you're
Well,
allowed to.
yeah, a lot of kids, I think nowadays, and this is the controversial piece from who I am, I believe that like a lot of the autoimmune issues that we're seeing in kids, like allergies, like asthma, like all of this, actually stems from the vaccine program change in 1986 when they changed the
Yeah,
bill
absolutely.
um, to make uh, to make pharmaceutical companies completely
Yeah.
not liable for anything.
Well,
So,
that's another
that's
subject.
another story
That's,
for another
that-
day.
that's another story for another day. I want to
Yeah.
end on happy notes.
Yes.
Let's end on a happy note. Now, did I miss anything that you do?
Oh, I do human design, and that's
Okay. Just
fun.
a map, a human map, isn't it?
Well, it's like they call it a body graph, and it's, human design is very similar to astrology. Well,
Yeah.
it has like elements of astrology, I Ching, numerology,
Okay.
Kabbalah, tree of life, chakra system, all kind of involved in one thing. And human design has been
Okay.
awesome.
Well, I'm going to make an appointment. I'll
Yeah.
just like, I'll just pick out one of your bazillion titles that you do, and then we'll start small and
Yeah.
work up. But this
Well,
is,
so
go ahead.
the beautiful thing about human design is you can take it nugget by nugget, and each one
Yes.
has something beautiful to give you.
Yeah.
Like, so for everyone in everybody's body graph, they are a certain type that tells you about your energy levels. Oh, and there's only 5 types, so it's easy to look up. And then you have like your strategy and authority, and that's like the first two things you should learn about. The strategy authority is how you can get answers in your life, and
Right.
how your flow is
Right.
for receiving information and making choices.
I remember
Simple stuff.
I was out last weekend. I went and saw Pink here in Edmonton. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And I'm sitting at a restaurant with a group of girls, and we were all going to Pink. And one of the ladies turned to me. She looks at me. Holy cow, your energy is so high.
You're
I'm like,
probably a
what's that mean?
generator.
Like, what's
Yeah.
that mean? Is that a good thing? She goes, I wish I had your energy. I said, well,
Yeah.
everyone can have this energy. But a lot of people choose not to have that energy because they choose not to be well.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
And
and also in human design, there are like they're more rare. Like you have
that's
generator, manifester, but then you have the projector and the reflector. And the projector and the
yeah,
reflector do not have access to that energy. Even if there are their most well days, they have maybe 3 or 4 hours of work in them.
okay.
And after that, they need to calm down. Reflectors less than that. And they're not a huge percent of the population, but I know a lot of projectors.
Mhm.
And actually, their energy is best used by sitting
Right.
back and noticing and projecting things. So yeah, there are many of us are generators who
Okay.
have tons of energy, still can nap, but like tons of
Me.
energy, right?
That's me.
Yeah.
That is,
Manifestors, manifesting generators, we have a lot. We're the worker bees a lot in a sense, right? We do the
yes,
things, we get
absolutely.
things
Yeah.
done, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we have that energy. But there are many people who do not jive with that. They do
They
not
can't.
have the energy, and no matter how hard they try, they're not going to have it. And
They
if they
almost,
do push themselves, they get sick.
well, that's
So,
what I know. That's what I've noticed is that all of
yeah.
a sudden I wanted your energy, but then she'll tell me, well, I have an autoimmune disease. I'm allergic to this. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And that's that. And me, that's just excuses. But that's just me. So
Yeah.
I just thought that you have so many qualifications coming out of your yin yang. And I'm thinking in my head right now as we're sitting here and we're still recording. We're almost an hour, which is so great because it's a great conversation. I just think we should do a series on everything that you do.
Oh,
Just to let people know, because we're just touching
right.
base on stuff like this. We're just
Yeah.
touching bases on this. But your story is incredible, but it's so easy to talk to you. It's
Yeah.
so fantastic. And I
I'm a
think
talker.
I guess, oh, you're like me. That's what, just FYI, everybody. The reason I'm doing this podcast because I like talk.
Yeah.
And I try to be quiet when people are telling stories. But I think this is so important that people need to know more a little bit about the 7,000 bazillion things you do. And I think, I think we're going to pull this out and we're going to do a little bit of a series on this lovely lady here.
Oh, that would be fun. I would
I
totally
think
be
that'd
into
be
it.
great. But okay, so last but not least, tell me something quirky about you. Okay, seriously. Okay, I'm going to read this. I have 9 pets in the house, 3 cats. No, 3 dogs,
3 dogs.
a
Yeah.
cat, a rabbit, a bear, and a dragon, and 3 rats.
Yes.
Seriously?
Yes. Yes.
The
Yes.
zoo, for God's sakes.
It is. And you know what? I just said to my shaman teacher the other day, I was like, I never thought I would fall in love with a darn rat. But let me tell you, I was the last person to have rodents in the house, but I had a 7-year-old and she wanted a hamster, and they say rats are better than hamsters and they're bigger. They don't get as lost, right? So it's like, okay. And I don't wait. So we got these rats, and I'm going to tell you, they are the cutest darn things. And like my little 7-year-old will have them on her shoulders.
Yeah,
I will have no idea there's a rat there because she has a lot of hair.
yeah.
And she'll turn around and go up the stairs, and all of a sudden a little rat's nose will peek out from behind her hair. And I'm like, but they're snuggle bugs and they're so loving. Like
Okay.
I don't know how I got
Well,
it. I
I'm
don't know how
thinking
I
about
got
the
there.
bearded dragon here. Like seriously, I get rats. Seriously, and I get cats and
Bearded
dogs.
dragon.
A
Yeah.
bearded. How big is this bearded
Oh,
dragon?
she doesn't get this. She hasn't been that big. We've
What's a
had her
sheep?
since
So you know it's sheep.
2019. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She's shedding right now. She's like, yeah, she's not that big.
Oh, she's
She like it's a very strange thing. Wow, bearded dragon poop is the worst smell ever, I think. It's just really disgusting. And we feed them roaches, but it is the coolest thing to watch a
no.
bearded dragon eat a roach. They're just boom and they get it, and then and like little pieces will fall out of
Oh my God.
and the roaches are like that big. They're
Oh,
huge. So just not regular roaches. They're Dubai dubia roaches. So you have to buy them. But yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting
thinking,
world.
I'm
You
thinking
have
of
to
my kid
constantly have
that
this stuff on.
I know. I'm thinking my kid in vet school going, honey, I just met a girl with a bazillion animals in the house. I'm going to tell him no. But the funny thing, you talk about rats because I'm going to tell everyone this story because it's so funny. And I don't care if we're over an hour. I don't care. So on my girlfriend here, my best friend's here. So we've known each other for over 55 years. So we grew up together beside each other. We're ex-military kids. So, so she's here and I have a cat. Now my cat's declawed. That's just the way we had it out here because my older cat was declawed. So, anyways, so we get home. My cat's not there. So normally she's a dog. She's waiting for me to come home. And then I said to Shelly, I said, "Where's Lulu?" She goes, "I don't know. Where's Lulu?" So I have a fur bow. So if I throw the fur bow in her treat, she'll come running. And she didn't. And I'm like,
Yeah, what's going
what
on?
the hell's going on? So I decided to go downstairs. And I go downstairs and I'm like, she likes to sit at a window and watch outside. And I get there and I I go, Lulu, and I could see her tail. I have a hair in my mouth. I could see her tail. And I look and there's a fucking vole this
Oh my
big.
God.
So I let out this ginormous scream. Of course, I'm my girl, right? I scream. My girlfriend runs down. She thought my cat was dead because I let the scream out.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
seriously, we're like, oh my God, it's a voles in the
Was
house.
it alive?
Like, so my cat doesn't know how to kill it. She just plays with it. And she
That's what my
follows it
cat does.
around. Yeah, just follows it
Yeah.
around. It was lost. And then I closed the door, but in my head, I'm like, oh, it'll stay in this room. Of course not. You can get under anything. So he's
Yeah.
not now in my weight room. He's now in my basement somewhere. And I've been calling my cat because I think, Lulu, go find it. Go find it. She's
She's like, I've had my fun.
I know. Yeah, I'm done. And she's lying under the table with her paws crossed like a princess. And of course, the bowl's sitting right there beside her. I'm
Yeah.
like, so we go over there and it just
She's
scurries
crying.
and scurries. So we have this Tupperware and we're determined. Two girls in their late 50s, early up to the 60s, yelling and screaming in the house.
Trying
And
to get
we
it.
finally cornered it and I threw the Tupperware on it, caught it, shoved a paper under it and it
Got it
freed
outside.
outside. And I was like, this is the best thing ever. And when you say rats, I'm like, yeah, no.
Well, the rats are big though. Like, so
Okay, well, I don't care.
they're pretty big. Yeah. No,
Hell.
and I feel you though. I never for a second did I think, and and out of my pets, I have
Yeah.
a tripod dog. I have a little Westie Maltese that has
Aw,
3 legs, and I have
aw.
a blind Catahoula leopard dog who's our youngest. She
Yeah.
just black. She has like one eye going in one direction. They're ice blue with
Uh,
crickets. She's blind. And so we got her, and then we have a dog who's getting old and grumbles all the time. She's just old. And then we have a rabbit who has one ear that doesn't work. Our bearded dragon has a crooked toe. Like there's something. It's just like it's the misfit
it's
house
just
of
the
pets, but
misfit
they're
house.
also lovey.
Yeah, but they're also lovey. Yeah, and you love them. But this has been fabulous to talk to you. But I think we should do a mini series, and we'll get on that eventually because I
Yeah.
think you're just so easy to talk to. People are going to love you, and they're going to want to know more because of your 20 bazillion. The number keeps changing. You notice?
You're right.
How about you do? The 20 bazillion things she does. I think we should do a mini series. How about
That would
you?
be fun.
Because
Yeah.
there's stuff I learned today that I would love to dig deeper and get to know that area that you specialize in, especially
Yeah.
those record things, man. That just
Yeah.
that gives me chills just to think about that. But it's been super lovely to talk to you this
Oh,
morning
yeah.
today.
Thank you for having me.
And yeah, and I think we're gonna talk soon again. Well, we're gonna get this going on. Yeah. So all
Sounds
her
good.
information will be with linked with everything here. And you have the best day ever.
Oh, thank you. You too.
And if you didn't notice, she has little ears on her headset.
I do. My
And
little
I
cat
see,
ear.
because I the first time I thought it was your headband. That's okay. I
No,
was like, I'm not even gonna ask you about the
yeah.
headband. But yeah, it's been beautiful to talk to you. I enjoyed it thoroughly, but we're gonna reconnect and do a mini series because I think I need it more than anyone else out there.
That's
Have a
perfect.
wonderful day, Eddie. We'll talk soon.
All right.